Jones and Keefe on Twitter and Instagram. We got the Patriots for a minimum, Keefe. 12-plus wins.
Look, we're high on the path.
Eat that W. Raiders, Jets, Jets. Dolphins, Dolphins. Chargers. And then Vikings. Just win. Steelers, Jags, Bears, Packers, Lions. Then our coin toss games, both Bills games, at Denver. 2 for sure losses. The opener at Seattle. And then the Monday nighter in Kansas City. I think, maybe we're too bullish on the schedule. We've gone too far with it.
Yeah, probably.
But I do think how much more difficult the schedule is this year is wildly overrated because I don't think there's that many bad spots. And I think the easiest way to think about this is that Lions game. When the opponents first came out, you're like, oh, wow, they might be playing the Lions on a short week in Detroit on Thanksgiving. Like, I thought that was in play. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're getting Detroit at home on a Monday night or like some Hornets nest. You're playing them in Germany. Like, there's not even a home field advantage for a team like Detroit. So these are the reasons why I think the schedule came out a little easier than I thought. The Vikings we have for an auto win. I got outvoted on that one.
Yeah.
But the Vikings is another good one. It's like, oh, you have Minnesota. That's not an easy game, but you're home on a Thursday. So now Minnesota has the short week and the travel to come to you. So I think there's a lot of things like that within the schedule that worked in your favor. The Chargers might be a tough matchup. You're coming off a bye. Oh, you're flying across the country. Is it a short week? Where is it? You have the bye week to go out to L.A. So I think a lot of those things work out, and I think people have way over-dramatized how much more difficult the schedule is. It is more difficult.
Yeah.
They are going to win fewer games. They won 14 last year. If they win 10, 11, 12, something like that, they've won way fewer games. But I don't think the schedule is going to knock them down to some also ran or out of the playoffs, and I do think the roster got better. I think they're deeper. I think they're better than they were a year ago, and I think that helps balance out the schedule.
Yeah, I think they are better. I also think that the consistency, and we talked about it with, I think like Mike Onwenu, Hunter Henry, Christian Ellis, all these guys already, head coach and quarterback. Normally when you look at the teams that lose in the Super Bowl and then fail to make it back the next year, they oftentimes get gutted. Like whether it's the coaching staff or some of their star players in free agency or whatever, like they might lose players. They gain players. And I know that's all on paper and we have to see it play out, but I feel like the team is better and they brought back the same coaching staff, which is pretty rare in these cases. So, yeah, I like the team a lot. And then it's the same thing we get into a little bit with the Red Sox, right? Where you're like, all right, tell me who's going to beat them. Like, tell me, like, talk up these other teams. Let's just start in the conference. Like, who do you like a lot more than them?
Okay, I see what you're saying. In the conference, not even on the schedule.
Not necessarily on the schedule, but yeah, but apply it to both.
Okay, so Texter says half the teams in the just win category should be coin flips or losses. So, like, Steelers home opener, they should win that. If you want to tell me Jacksonville should be a coin toss, you probably just like the Jaguars more than we do. Like, I don't. I think the Jaguars are prime for regression, but that's me. Bears are a short week at Chicago. Keefe, I know you wanted that in the coin toss. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay's here. Lions are in Germany. Like, I don't think those are coin toss games. I think those are games the Patriots should win. So if you want to say maybe the Bears and the Jaguars we could move, maybe. I don't like Caleb Williams, and I think the Jags are due for regression. So that's my view on it.
Super Bowl odds, top 10 teams based on odds. Number one's the Rams.
Okay.
They don't play. The Bills, they play twice.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens.
We have them both in coin tosses.
They don't play.
Ravens, they don't play.
Seahawks. They
play. We say for sure loss.
Chargers.
This
is the one that we probably disagree with, like how the.
In fairness, it is a regular season game and not a playoff game. If it was a playoff game, it's definitely eat the W.
Then there's.
But whatever, I don't respect them. I'm with you.
Then the Patriots. So cross that out.
Can't play yet. Can't play them.
Chiefs.
Yep.
They play them.
We have for sure loss.
And for sure loss.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles.
They don't play.
Texans.
They don't play.
49ers.
They don't play.
All right. So like. Some people make out the schedule because I think it probably just because it is like last year was a lot of bad teams.
Barnwell has some good numbers on how easy it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I don't think there's that many world beaters. So the one we actually agree. All their losses we have in those top 10 teams in the Super Bowl odds, or at least coin toss games and losses outside of the Chargers, which we disagree with. Everything else we're like Seattle, yep, they're losing. Yeah. Chiefs, yep, they're losing. Bills, coin toss games. Chargers we disagree on. And they only play 5 of the top 10 teams on Super Bowl odds.
And I also think if you did this exercise in like Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, they might look at it and be like, Pat's a tough one. Right, like
I'm
Pat's
sure.
number. Yeah. I'm sure they're definitely looking at it that way.
So Bill Barnwell had the 5 teams that are due for regression this season. Okay, predicting NFL teams most likely to decline in 2026. Now, again,
I think they actually are a candidate for that.
Me
Why
too.
wouldn't they be?
The
How many
Patriots-
more? They can't go undefeated.
they're
Or I
not
guess they
going
could.
They're not going to win 15, 16, 17 games. I don't think.
Yeah.
So look, I have no problem with the Patriots being on this list. I really don't. But here are the other teams on there: Carolina, the Chicago Bears, who you play, the Denver Broncos, who you play, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who you play. All those teams are due for regression. So I wholeheartedly agree with Barnwell on the Jags. I agree with him as well on the Patriots. I'd say the Bears is another team that fits that bill. So here's what he wrote about the Patriots and their schedule after making a snarky joke about how Patriots fans have probably not heard anything about how easy their schedule was a year ago.
Good point.
He says, let's put last season's Patriots schedule in context and look at what it means for the future. He says there's a lot of ways to estimate schedule strength. Bill, likes to take each of a team's opponents and look at their Pythagorean expectation.
I'm out.
After removing the games played against that particular team. In other words,
I'll give you some other words.
To measure the strength of the Patriots schedule from last year, we would take their week 1 opponent, the Raiders, and find Vegas's points scored and allowed in every game besides the one the Patriots did, and then convert that into a winning percentage. Okay? So that's the formula.
Okay.
You remove the Patriots' result against their opponents, and you correct for the schedule. Okay? I mean, Barnwell, I think, would tell you he's a big, giant nerd.
Yeah.
The average Patriots opponent had a 414 Pythagorean expectation. Okay, so 414. Remember that number.
Ouch. My head hurts.
Unsurprisingly, Keefe, that was the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Okay.
The next easiest belonged to the Cowboys, and they were as close to the 12th easiest as they were the Pats. So, in other words, huge gap between the Patriots and the Cowboys.
Does that math make math?
In fact, this was the easiest schedule any team has had in any season by this metric, the Pythagorean expectation, since 2010.
Right.
Okay? So not only was it the easiest in the league, it was the easiest since 2010.
Which is fair. We talked about it in real time, and it also is like, okay, Cam Newton saying all this stuff, and he was sort of the face of their fool's gold, and you're like, all right, they're playing a lot of bad teams. But then when you make the Super Bowl, I feel like that makes me, anyway, feel a whole lot better, right? It wasn't like they just feasted off bad teams.
And to your point,
did win 3 straight a game against really good defenses and good teams.
To your point, one of the prominent teams on this was the Rams when they won their Super Bowl, and they
played nobody, right?
Well, they played nobody. They won the Super Bowl, and then the next year they made the playoffs and won 10 games. Okay? But they regressed.
Sure.
He says, now let's take the 30th easy schedules for teams by this measure since 1990. So big data sample all the way back to 1990, the 30 easiest in this stat, and how'd they do the following year. Their average season against the easy schedule was 9.3 wins. The Patriots were at 14.
Yeah.
The average, though, was 9.3. And then the following season, they dipped down to 8. So on average,
1 less game.
1 fewer win.
I think they lose
more
than that. So, yeah, exactly.
People making a huge deal about the schedule.
They are going overboard with it.
They're going to regress. It might be by a win or two, but what are we talking, 14 to 12? 14 to 11?
Yeah,
like, what
you
are
can
we?
still win the division with that.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So even with all the math and all the Pythagorean expectations and all the data sample size going back years and years and years, they're due for, on average, 1 fewer win?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That sounds about right. 1 or 2,
I know.
they're still a 12-win team. And their roster got better, and I think when you really dig in on it, oh my gosh, they have to play the Bears. They're on this list too for regression.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they have to play the Jaguars. They're on this list for regression. Oh, the Broncos, regression. So never mind the way you looked at it, Keefe, with all the Super Bowl odds. I think people have way, way, way overstated how challenging the schedule is this year, just like they way overstated how easy it was last year. It was easy, but the Patriots were a good team.
Yeah.
It is difficult this year. They are still a good team. I still think they're going to win a bunch of games. That's kind of how I come at it.
Yeah, no, I definitely do too. And I just think that, like the 2 Bills games, for example, like could determine the division right there, right? Like just how that all plays out, because that's another team where I don't think they got a whole lot better. I think the Patriots on paper did get better. So they were almost preparing. And we were talking about this in real time when they went out there and got Romeo Doubs, A.J. Brown, Kevin Byard. You're like, oh, they're not just content with winning 14 games against a bad schedule. Even they might not say it publicly, but even they know, all right, we had a pretty favorable schedule a year ago. So if we want to get back to where we were, we're going to have to improve the roster, which I think they have. Now we can argue about, the draft and how impactful those guys are going to be and blah, blah, blah.
And I feel worse about the roster today than I did a day ago since they subtracted Booty off of it.
I agree. But I think high end to bring in somebody like AJ Brown. You're like, okay, that is pretty good. They are prepared for what will be a more difficult schedule. So yeah, I've had a lot of confidence in the team the whole time, and it was funny how you mentioned the Celtics earlier, how they lose in the first round, and then the NBA Finals is over, and they were like still the favorite to win the East until some of these other moves happened. And you're like, that's weird. Meanwhile, the Patriots make it to the Super Bowl, lose, and there's like 5 teams in the AFC ahead of them.
Opposite, including teams like the Chargers.
Teams they beat.
Who they pantsed.
It's one thing if you're like, hey, Kansas City's going to bounce back. Fine. I'll give you that one. But like Buffalo, who they beat head-to-head, the Chargers, who they beat head-to-head, the Broncos, who they beat head-to-head. I know Knicks was out, but whatever. Like, all these teams are ahead of them. It's like you're just like looking for reasons because it didn't really make a lot of sense to me.